Hello, welcome back. I'm John, an old YouTuber. It's early Saturday evening. I just made a lot of video in Danish about the Microsoft Windows, and I was just to download a fresh copy of Windows 95 and 98 on Wikipedia. I did download the Windows 95, but I need a few more minutes. It's 4 p.m. and I start to get tired, and I'm a little bit freezing a little bit because it's very cold outside. So Microsoft, they did make many $100 million on Windows 2 and Windows 3. But before that, they have the Microsoft DOS, the MS-DOS version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So probably they made a lot of money, many hundred millions on the MS-DOS. The Windows 1 and 2, that was just some kind of graphic shell on top of the MS-DOS. And from today's view, that's super simple. This kind of operating system, that's super simple. But that's all way back. This MS-DOS, that's part of the PC computer history. So that was the only one, and then they got dominated on the markets because most new computers back then was sold with MS-DOS. Then they start to make this Windows 1. Windows 1 was not so, but Windows 2 and Windows 3, they have a global domination in operating systems because all computers, maybe back then in the late 80s, 1980s, was sold with Microsoft 2 and 3, Windows 2 and 3. So then they made all this many hundreds of millions dollars from the Windows 2 and 3. I think the Windows 3 was sold in like more than 10 million copies. And Windows 3.1 was sold in many millions copies to like $150 each. Even today, $150 is a lot of money for a small piece of software. Even today, if you buy a new computer, you have to pay more than $100 just to get the Windows operating systems. If you buy a new computer in a computer store and you select you not like to have operating systems, you can subtract like $150 from the price, like 800 or 900 Danish kroners. That's like $120, $130, $140. So a large part of, if you're buying a cheap office computer like $400, you can assemble yourself. Then if you select not to have the Windows 10 or 11, that's Windows 11, you can take $100, that's 25% of the price. So every of this many millions of computers worldwide, many millions and millions and millions computers, Microsoft is getting like $100. So they are getting many hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. So Microsoft got a lot of money. So and they had like total dominations. So computers will be a lot cheaper, PC computers, if they could sell new computers with like Linux or some operating systems with no free one. Some kind of open software, could be Linux operating systems. And then people, they could select if they like to buy Windows from like $150 more. I think some of the Linux can run Windows programs. I don't know much about Linux programs, but the young people today, the teenagers, they're not using this kind of computers. They are only PC computer gamers. They are using Apple computers, Macintosh computers, Apple. I think Apple have not using Windows 11, but have their own operating system, I think, like on the iPhones. But the Google, we have the Google operating system, the Google Android operating system from like the cell phones. Got the Google Androids, and this cell phone is getting, even this old cell phone, the Sony, is much faster than some of the computers from like the 90s, year 2000. So this computer chips into a cell called Snapdragon from Qualcomm. Qualcomm's a company called Qualcomm are making computer chips for the cell phones, the Android cell phones called Snapdragon. These computer chips are getting faster and faster every generation and more advanced, and this operating system, the Google Android, is getting better and better. But I don't think you can run Windows programs on the Google Android. But I think you have it on, I don't have a Google Chromebook. I think this Google Chromebooks you can buy very cheap, like less $300, $300 or $400, even cheaper, like $200. I think they're running on kind of Google operating system, maybe this Google Android, I don't know. So maybe I should buy a Chromebook, Asus Chromebook or Acer, probably a Asus Chromebook, just to get the operating system to see what it is. But even today Microsoft have total domination of the operating systems. And actually I'm going to read about Windows 95. So, but I have I have already downloaded. Just need to delete my old copy. Yes, I like Microsoft. I like the Windows operating system. I like. It's not. I'm not dislike. This is not why I talk about it. We have to delete. That was 5 months ago. No, 11. My old Windows 5 is from the 7.5, the 7 May. I have to delete it in. When I'm talking, open my Epic Game account. I was to open my Adobe Acrobat. I cannot delete the Windows 5 because. But now I have my. Well, let's close it again. I cannot delete it from my, because I have to delete it. Close it. I have to close the document in Adobe Acrobat. Windows 95 before I can delete it from my computer. Delete. Then my fresh copy from today is jumping up, and then I can rename. Now I click because I'm tired. But now I have a fresh copy open. Now we have a fresh copy. So let's read it. That's Windows 95. So Microsoft, there's many hundred millions and thousands of billions dollars they got just from the Windows 3.1 was sold in many millions of copies. Just the Windows 3.1 to like $150 each. and the Windows 3.0 was sold in like 10 million copies to like just $50. That's 500 millions. So they was making a lot of money, this company Microsoft. So, and I think the Windows 95 was a kind of even below 95. We have the old MS-DOS. The old MS-DOS version 6 or 7 was below. This is just a graphic shell they put on top of the DOS. I think this Windows 95 you can run on an old Intel 386. Intel 386 DX can run. We can probably read about this later. Yes, sorry, that was a long talk, but I just record. But I will read about this later, and later I will get some computers who actually have Windows 98, but I really don't have the money now to buy it. So we have to wait next year. Oh, and I have a Danish video I need to put public. So let's do that. I was eating a little bit. Good. Let's read about Windows 95. I not remember Windows 95 so much, but I remember the Windows 98. So, but Windows 95 was out for like 3 years only. Probably I have seen in 1995 I was 29 years old. I was age 30. In 1996 I was young adult, age 30. And I did not have a computer back then because I did not have any work. I was unemployed and I was on welfare check and student income. And I was drinking a lot of beer and smoking cigarettes. So I did not have like $2,000 to buy a computer. A gamer computer back in the night, like the Intel 486 DX 26600. That was very expensive, cost like $2,000. And I did not have any work and no saving and no money. So I did not have my own computer in the 90s. That was just in the year like 2001 maybe. I got my first computer, a Dell. I think it's a Pentium 4. Could be a Pentium 4 with Windows XP. I not remember. But I have some video on from year 2015. This apartment, I was down in my basement. I bring this old computer and started on my office desk. I have it on my, but that was maybe my first PC computer, but I not remember.
Windows 95. Windows 95 version of the Windows 9X operating system. Microsoft Windows 95 logo with wordmark.svg. Windows 95 at first run.png. Windows 95 desktop, showing its icons, taskbar and welcome screen. Developer Microsoft source model closed source released to manufacturing July 14. 1995 general availability August 24, 1995. 1. Latest release OEM service release 2.5, 4.0.950C. November 26, 1997, 2. Platforms IA32 kernel type monolithic license proprietary commercial software preceded by Windows 3.1x, 1992-1993, succeeded by Windows 98, 1998. Official website Windows 95 at the Wayback Machine, archived January 20, 1998. Support status mainstream support. Ended on December 31, 2000. 3. Extended support ended on December 31, 2001. 3. Windows 95 is a consumer-oriented operating system developed by Microsoft as part of its Windows 9X family of operating systems. The first operating system in the 9X family, it is the successor to Windows 3.1x and was released to manufacturing on the 14th of July 1995, and generally to retail on the 24th of August 1995, almost 3 months after the release of Windows NT 3.51.45. Windows 95 merged Microsoft's formerly separate MS-DOS and Microsoft Windows products, and featured significant improvements over its predecessor, most notably in the graphical user interface, GUI, and in its simplified plug-and-play features. There were also major changes made to the core components of the operating system, such as moving from a mainline cooperatively multitasked 16-bit architecture to a 32-bit preemptive multitasking architecture, at least when running only 32-bit protected mode applications. Accompanied by an extensive marketing campaign. 1. Windows 95 introduced numerous functions and features that were featured in later Windows versions, and continue in modern variations to this day, such as taskbar, notification area, and the start button. 3 years after its introduction, Windows 95 was followed by Windows 98. Microsoft ended mainstream support for Windows 95 on the 31st of December 2000. Like Windows NT 3.51, Windows 95 received only 1 year of extended support, ending on the 31st of December 2001. Contents. Development beta. Architecture dependence on MS-DOS. User interface. Technical improvements plug and play. Long file names. 32-bit. Core improvements in OEM service releases. Accessibility features. System requirements. Upgradability Internet Explorer. Release and promotion editions. Legacy. See also. References. Further reading. Development. The initial design and planning of Windows 95 can be traced back to around March 1992, 6, 7, 8, just around the time before the release of Windows 3.1. At this time, Windows for Workgroups 3.11 and Windows NT 3.1 were still in development. At this point, Microsoft's strategy was to have a next-generation, high-end OS based on Windows NT, namely, Cairo, and a low-end, consumer-focused one as an evolution of Windows 3.1. The latter strategy was to develop a 32-bit underlying kernel and file system with 32-bit protect mode device drivers in Windows for Workgroups 3.11, to burst as the basis for the next version of Windows, codenamed Chicago. Cairo would be Microsoft's next-generation operating system based on Windows NT, featuring a new user interface and an object-based file system, but it was not planned to be shipped before 1994. Cairo would never be shipped, however. Alt-Half elements from the Cairo project eventually shipped in Windows NT 4.0 in late July 1996, without the object-based file system, which would later evolve into INFS. Simultaneously with Windows 3.1's release, IBM started shipping OS/2 2.0. Microsoft realized they required an updated version of Windows that could support 32-bit applications and preemptive multitasking, but could still run on low-end hardware. Windows NT did not. Initially, the Chicago team did not know how the product would be packaged. Initial thoughts were there might be two products, MS-DOS 7, which would just be the underlying OS, an evolution of the Windows for Workgroups 3.11 kernel, with a character mode OS on top, and a fully integrated graphical Windows OS. But soon into the project, the idea of MS-DOS 7 was abandoned and the decision was made to develop only an integrated graphical OS Windows Chicago Beta. Before Windows 95's official release, users in the United States and United Kingdom had an opportunity to participate in the Windows 95 preview program. 9 for US $19.95/£19.95. Users would receive several 3.5-inch floppy disks that would be used to install Windows 95 either as an upgrade from Windows 3.1x or as a fresh installation. Participants were also given a free preview of the Microsoft Network, MSN, the online service that Microsoft launched with Windows 95. During the preview period, Microsoft established various electronic distribution points for promotional and technical documentation on Chicago 10, including a detailed document for media reviewers describing the new system highlights. 10.11. The preview versions expired in November 1995, after which the user would have to purchase their copy of the final version of Windows 95. Architecture. Architectural diagram. Windows 95 was designed to be maximally compatible with existing MS-DOS and 16-bit Windows programs and device drivers while offering a more stable and better performing system. 12.13. The Windows 95 architecture is an evolution of Windows for Workgroups 386 Enhanced Mode. Configuration Manager, Config, responsible for implementing plug-and-play functionality, monitoring hardware configuration changes, detecting devices using bus enumerators, and allocating I/ports, IRQs, DMA channels and memory in a conflict-free fashion. 14. Installable File System Manager, Input/Output Subsystem, coordinates access to supported file systems. Windows 95 initially shipped with support for FAT12, FAT16, the FAT extension, ISO 9660, CDFS, Joliet and network redirectors, with later releases supporting FAT32.15. Access requests to physical media are sent to Input/Output Supervisor, a component responsible for scheduling the requests. Each physical media has its device driver. Access to the disk is performed by a port driver, while access to a SCSI device is handled by a miniport driver working atop the SCSI layer. Port and miniport drivers perform I/O operations in 32-bit protected mode, bypassing MS-DOS and BIOS, significantly improving performance. In case there is no native Windows driver for a certain storage device, or if a device is forced to run in compatibility mode, the real mode mapper can access it through MS-DOS. 16. 32-bit Windows programs are assigned their memory segments, which can be adjusted to any desired size. Memory areas outside the segment cannot be accessed by a program. If a program crashes, nothing else is harmed. Before this, programs used fixed non-exclusive 64 kilobytes segments. While the 64 kilobytes size was a serious handicap in DOS and Windows 3.x, lack of guarantee of exclusiveness was the cause of stability issues because programs sometimes overwrote each other segments. A crashing Windows